Welcome to the Live Music NorCal podcast, Season 2, Episode 5, with special guest, Hill Street. One of the top-tier bands in what is becoming our NorCal Nashville. Hill Street has the perfect tagline to describe their vibe. Playing tribute to more than just one and having fun. Which is a perfect statement about a band that has the flexibility to be both a cover band at the club level and yet have enough original quality material to release an album and be poised and ready to open for any national act passing through, at the drop of a hat, I might add, while also growing into their own headlining future. That's a lot going on, and in the midst of all this, they're playing every, and I mean every weekend, anywhere between Central Oregon and Central California. And they don't travel alone. This is a family affair where spouses, pets, and a lovely sibling are all part of the road crew / entourage. And yes, this whole gang showed up for the podcast. Well, without the pets. Okay, here we are in the Live Music NorCal studio, and crammed in here with me today, I have the entire family, we'll call it,
absolutely,
of Hill Street.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So do we just say Hill Street or do we say Hill Street Band?
We shortened it to Hill Street.
Okay, so. Hill Street it is. So Heidi, lead singer.
Yes.
Why don't I let you go around the room and introduce everybody who's here and tell us all the relationships and what's up with this group.
Okay, well, right next to me is my husband, Michael, drummer, vocalist extraordinaire, husband of the year. Next to him is Tony freaking Pulse, TFP, and he is guitar player. And then next to him is T-Rod, Tony Rodriguez, T-Rod the One. He is the bass player. Next to him is his lovely wife, Debbie. Next to her is Tony's lovely wife, Janine. And way in the back in the corner, making sure we all do everything right, is Ruth, Michael's sister.
Awesome.
And this is the Hill Street family. 100% family all the way.
Well, I think it's so interesting and cool that you guys just all hang together. You were telling me every show, everything you guys do, it's everybody.
Yes.
Right. And that's really super interesting and cool because I haven't come across that yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, when you play as much as we've been playing, you kind of have to, or you never see your spouses again.
Well, that could be true.
No, the truth is we love it. We can't get enough of each other.
I mean, people have support people and people who love them and all that kind of stuff, but usually when they come to the podcast or, whatever, they just come and maybe we talk about them, maybe we don't, maybe they want to, maybe they don't want to, I don't know. But at the end of the day, this is really cool.
Yeah, this is a unique situation we have here. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Family.
It is, and it's
Family
really
band.
comfortable to play music like this with people that you could spend every minute of your day with and not we don't get bored with each other.
Yeah.
And they take me away from my house.
And let you live in ours, yes.
And I live with them now. So.
Well, yeah, because we were
weekends.
talking earlier, you live in McLeod.
Right, we both do, and we come down here and we stay the weekends. Sometimes we stay, when we go up to Seven Feathers, we're up there for 5 days, steady with each other. We see each other 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing, you're with your people. Don't touch me. Sorry. Anyway, I got in the band not long ago. So
this is what happens when the band brings spouses and family.
Yeah, that's what happens.
No, this is what happens when your family, stop touching me. He's touching me. Don't touch me. Why are you touching me? Get your arm off of me.
It's like center to the corner, you know what I mean?
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
So the band has been together for over a decade, right?
Yes.
And has it consistently been this group?
It's been, Tony, go ahead. Yeah, it's been the three of us.
Okay.
Yeah, Heidi and I and Tony originally.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, Heidi and I originally, and Tony got in about a year later, and T-Rod has been in our band for about a year now. But as far as the Hill Street Band, about 10 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has it always been the whole family show from day one?
I would say it's been this tight since 7 years ago when Tony joined the band with us. We've always been really close. Everybody that we get together with has just had that feel.
And T-Rod has really slid into that and just really firmed that idea up.
Right into that. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
That's the sense I'm getting. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's nice, and actually it's kind of, I wouldn't say it was a requirement, but it was something that we wanted. So we were careful when we were meeting people to make sure that we didn't get somebody that
selection.
Yeah, we didn't want to get.
But at the same time, he fell right in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We're hard to put up with, so we have to find people that are like-minded. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So we're looking for people that are just as crazy as we are.
How did you find your bass player T-Rod? Where did you even come to know of him to even pursue him?
That was Miss Debbie. She saw that we were looking, we were kind of in an imposition place. We weren't sure what we were going to do, which direction we were going to go. And we were like, if the right person comes along, then we'll make a change.
Yeah.
And Debbie called us, and that worked out beautifully. Now, we didn't talk to T-Rod for like a month. She is his voice. She's his spokesperson. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
your agent.
She's his agent. Yeah.
She's everything basically.
Yeah.
She
Promoter,
feeds me,
agent.
She brushes my teeth.
It's coming.
And also, by the time T-Rod came down to rehearse with us, he had already, by the time this was starting up, he was learning our stuff. And so by the time we hooked up, we knew as soon as he got there that it was going to.
And so we'll talk about everybody's history with music, but since we're on T-Rod, and I know he has a particularly interesting history of his musical career, why don't you start and tell us a little bit about music throughout your life and what you've done and how it's...
I have a feeling you're going to ask me that.
Yeah?
Well, basically, I started as a young man. I went into the Air Force, and in the Air Force, I started a band. Actually, the band was actually already started up in Alaska, up on one of the sites. And it was called the Jim Startler Trio. I was with them for like 2 years, and then got out of the service. And when I got out of the service, I explored trying to find what I wanted to play, or what kind of music I really wanted to play. And then I ran across a lot of my friends. I still have friends that I've been playing with for 50 years, good buddies, good pals, And so I did that, and I ran across some pretty good musicians. I played with Rick Stevens of Tower of Power for a year in a band called Full Swing. We did that for a good year, me and my brother, my older brother, and then from there, kind of moved on and went from original music to top 40 music because, back then you couldn't make money, really. Money wasn't that easy to come by. So I kind of did that, looking around, ran across another entity, which was Latin rock. And I got into Latin rock, and I played with Chapito Aries from Santana. I worked with Raul Rico from Santana. And then a few other bands, basically that brought me to actually got to the point where I was in a Mambo Street band. They were called Mambo Street, which is funny because this is Hill Street. Mm-hmm. Right. So, and this is like almost one of the last bands I played with. I was with them for 10 years. And it got to the point where I needed to move, to branch out. I wasn't branching out. It got stale. So we moved up here, the wife and I. We moved up to Etna. Stayed in Etna for about 7-8 months, and decided let's see if we can find somewhere else because we weren't happy.
Yeah.
With where we were at. We went to McLeod, and I found a couple of musicians. I got a band together. We played. I was with one band for like a couple of years. It didn't pan out, so I started my own band. We had a little trio. They just weren't going in the right direction for me. They were like, pretty much kind of stuck, on rehearsing, just rehearsal. And rehearsing is good. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
If you want to get better, you got to rehearse. And so basically that's what I did there. And then I basically quit the band because it wasn't giving me what I wanted.
When the garage band just wants to stay in the garage.
Yeah, we did gigs, but it was like the drummer, he had a little bit of money, so he would throw gigs at his house and people would come and stuff like that. It's like we played one gig out, or that was it, with them. And then basically her and I spoke, and I told her, I said, like, I think I need to go in another direction. And like I said, she is my mouthpiece, big time. So she pretty much said, I'm going to go on this site and
You gotta
I'm
look
going to see
around.
this and check it out for you and see what I come up with. And she did. She went on the site. Matter of fact, that wasn't the only thing she did. She went on and booked us, the band that I was in, at Pitt River and at Rain Rock up in NY.
Eureka, yeah.
She's the one who did all that. And then basically she got a hold of Heidi, and they just
And we planned their life.
it seemed
for
to
the
me
rest
like
of their-
they both of them clicked. Click, and then from that point on, they told me what they wanted me to do, and I tried to do as much as I could, and then came down and
Boom.
Boy, didn't you just hit on what it needs to be in Hill Street. You just need to know that I'm going to tell you what to do.
yeah, that's exactly right. She's right.
Okay.
And if you're okay with that, you're
we all
good.
go through that, right? All of us.
So there's a hierarchy happening here. Okay.
But again, I got into the what I was looking for. Basically,
she was
I'm
already
retired. I don't work anymore. I retired, and when I got into them, she had asked me. She said, "Are you ready for this? Are you ready to do something like this?" I kind of gave her that look, like she don't know me too well, does she?
Well, he proved it because he learned all of our songs in less than a month. And I mean, learned them, knew them, could play them with us without notes or charts or anything. And learned them well enough to where Tony was happy, which is good. Really hard to do.
Well, that's good when you know quality musicianship.
Yeah.
It easily identifies itself in those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people like you guys who are that, you find each other somehow.
And he's right about the speech. Everybody gets the speech. We play every weekend. You belong to Hill Street. You're not allowed to die. You're not allowed to think. You're not allowed to do anything but come with Hill Street, say yes, let's play, let's go have a good time.
And also the only hardship with that, I mean, we're used to playing, but just where he is, that travel time.
Yeah, we were worried about him being in McLeod. And
That's the main thing that was like, if it's snowing, can you get down? He's got four-wheel drives. He can make it down, but it's that. That's why they stay at our place when.
Well, sure.
Quite a bit, when we're playing.
Well, it's handy that you're all such a tight family.
Exactly. So.
well, like I said, you kind of have to be because
Yeah.
we're together all the time. And so, and there are so many great musicians in this area. So many. Reading is practically Nashville. I swear there's so many great people up here. But not everybody wants to play every
As much.
single time the phone rings.
Right.
And we're the yes band. We're like, yes, where do we go? How do we go? We're here, we drive 4 hours and we played there, and then we spend the night and we drive 4 hours and we play there. We've played gigs where we played 1 in the morning and drove to the coast and played 1 in the evening. We played 7 hours straight gigs out at the racetrack. Wow. So
yeah, being able to play with good musicians, and I'm not saying that there's a bunch of crappy guys out there.
No, it's no dig on anybody else.
Yeah, no.
You guys are a part of, and Heidi was right. The quality of musicianship that's happening in Reading. It seems to me, having only really been in the local music scene for a relatively short time, but I continue, and I'm saying this every podcast, just be blown away by what is here, and how almost foolish I feel for having missed out on it for so long.
You're not alone. The whole area is blind to that when it comes to feeling like you have to hire from out of town in order to get these quality bands. And that happens with a lot of the festivals, a lot of the important things, and it's really frustrating for the musicians in this area to be like, okay, well, if we fly in, then will you hire us?
Yeah, if we get in the plane, circle around and
we
land.
go to Sacramento and they love us, but Reading, our hometown, is like, okay, well, you're not big enough, and that feeling of you're not big enough because you live here confuses.
That's interesting that you feel
me.
like you're hitting that, because I look at you guys as in the top few of Reading's biggest, most popular bands.
Did you bring my duct tape so I can wrap it around my head so it doesn't explode?
Yeah, it's going to start.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
The last podcast I had Lance and Serena,
right?
And they're in that. You guys are
her.
all in that same caliber of of quality. That's what we talked about last podcast. Is quality, and again, you guys bring that quality. I feel like I'm saying it every week, but
well, we got it. What we
here.
need to do is put it out that Reading is the Northern California Nashville, and if you need a good band, they're all up here.
Well,
I mean, seriously, there are
I'm
so
all for
many.
There's a lot of talent.
Yeah.
It really is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we are not alone by any means.
Well, so what's also really cool is how lots of bands here have recorded albums or have albums, and they're doing all the stuff that big bands do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And let's talk about that. You guys have an album that you put out a couple years ago, Uphill Both Ways, right?
Yep.
Talk about doing that. What was,
That
where was it recorded? What was it like?
Does anyone want to go before I start talking? Because you know once I start, well, won't shut me up.
Go ahead.
We already know that. You go for it.
Tony, say something about that. I know you have something to say. Look at that. See, this is why I have to be the
All
mouthpiece.
right.
Okay, so so no, that was really, really cool. That was super fun. After Hours Recording Studio, of course, Bruce Turgon,
Perfect.
amazing producer. And it's been a dream of mine since I was a little kid to do an original album. And this group was kind enough to do it together.
Yeah.
And we basically just started banging out different songs, throwing things together. Michael and I would work on melodies and lyrics just kind of in our heads in the jacuzzi, kind of get the framework started. And then we'd turn it over to Tony, and he would just, between Michael and Tony, they would get in there and just map out this wonderful little creature. And at the time, Jerry was with us, Jerry Barker. And he was into it, but not because he knew he was going to be leaving. He knew that my psychosis was going to take us to the point where we're playing every single weekend, and he had a really, really good job. So playing every weekend wasn't going to work for him.
Yeah.
And he was so kind and got all the way through that with us. But we did the whole thing over a period of like 6 months or so. It was,
6 months.
let Bruce map things out for us, let him guide us through the process, really took what he had to say to heart, and came up with something that we can all be really proud of.
Yeah.
Now we're going back in. So the 16th
Awesome.
of this month, we've got 3 more originals we're going to take into the studio with T-Rod. So
Excellent.
we're going to have the whole band in there
And
for these 3
T-Rod's
songs.
good friend, a guy named
Archie is going to play keyboards.
And he's,
Yeah.
he just adds that extra element in there on
Yeah,
keyboards.
because the one finger wonder keyboard player that I am is not going to work for a studio. So,
Yep. That's kind of what I am. Yep.
so we're going back in. We got 3 songs that we're real excited about, and we're going to get those done and go back through. So we are very much about the originals. We play some originals when we're live. T-Rod's learned all of them, and I'm quite certain has got them hammered down and added a few things to them as well.
So I'll tell you what so listening to some of the snippets of the songs on there, I circled 3 that I particularly liked, but I'll put the asterisk with this that says I tend to lean towards favoring a little bit harder rock, a little more, something
Cool.
that kicks just a little bit. So the first one was Greedy, because that one just right off the...
That's my favorite, really, to tell you the truth.
Well, right off the bat, it's going, and
Cool.
I love it.
Cool, thank you.
So, Teasing the Dog, I like that as well.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
That's a true story, by the way. I was watching Judge Judy and Teasing the Dog when I started writing the lyrics.
I was going to ask you about Judge Judy being in the lyrics, but there you go. You got to draw from where you draw from.
That's
And
right,
it's real life.
And the neighbor was Ruth.
And then, of course, Uphill Both Ways.
Yeah.
So those are all really, really cool.
Uphill Both Ways as a story. Because we were doing the album, and then Bruce was like, so what is your title song? What is the song that... And we're like, oh, title song. There's a concept. Nobody's ever thought of before, We didn't have one. Uphill Both Ways was originally, I'm embarrassed to say it, Hot Jam.
It was. We didn't have any lyrics, and it was just...
I was they wanted to stop in the middle of the song and go, Hot Jam. I was like, I am not saying Hot Jam while you guys are doing that song. There is no way I'm doing that.
She literally goes in the back room and has those lyrics written in 10, 15 minutes.
Wow.
And
Good
comes
for you.
back, and then we do it.
Well, and Uphill Both Ways, Hill Street Band. I mean, there's so many
So we
links
had
there.
the title already.
Yeah.
We were going to call the album Uphill Both Ways. And so Bruce was like, so what song is Uphill Both Ways? And I was like, oh, well, we did.
Does it
We
have to
don't
be one?
have one. Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, we have one song that has no purpose whatsoever on the planet. And so
So that becomes it.
And it became one of our favorites. I really enjoy it.
Well, I don't know how much I know that Tony has some throat stuff. So, but if as much as you want to share, I dig your guitar playing so much. You play guitar like I love to hear guitar. You can YouTube Hill Street Band. You can see videos of Eruption from Eddie Van Halen. You can see, breaking into any number of popular songs that come out of an era, for me, where the guitar players were heroes, 80s particularly, and 90s and stuff like that. And Tony's is good. Tony's as good as any of that. And this goes back to the whole quality musicians that are in our area. We're circling back to that. But, dude, you rock. And I love it. So, talk about your musical influences.
I started playing when I was about 7 years old. Started messing around on an old acoustic my grandparents had from Italy. And it was an old Dobro, I believe, is what it was, from 1920s. And had the wrong strings on it. And they were rotted and rusted. And all I could do back then was just play a melody of what I was mimicking off the radio or off the record player.
Yeah. And what kinds of stuff were you listening to on the radio and the record player?
Anything my grandmother would throw on from Italy.
Interesting.
Big bands.
Nice.
Anything on the AM radios. Back then, probably like Paul McCartney and stuff like that. Wings.
Okay.
Anything popular like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wasn't there a song you learned from a commercial? You told me there was a soda commercial or something, and there was a song, and you were like, I have to play that.
Oh, that was later on.
Was that later on?
Yeah,
what was the song? I can't remember.
That was in the 80s, and that was off of Live Aid.
Oh.
And it was the Pepsi commercial. It was a Pepsi commercial. It said opening a Pepsi New Generation style, and it was actually Vinnie Moore playing the guitar on it.
Wow.
And it had an actor on there with a guitar and everything, and he was soloing wild, and he was opening the Pepsi bottle with his guitar playing, and it exploded afterwards. So I thought that was the greatest thing right there. So I had to learn that.
That's great.
But I basically spent my life listening to anything on the radio and mimicking whatever was on the radio, and anything with a drive or anything with a lot of feeling, and I just got lost in it.
Yeah.
So it made me want to just mimic what I heard.
Okay.
Basically.
Well, I think that's great, and I think that, like I said, I just love your style of playing and so much. So.
Thank you.
Good job on whatever you
Well, he
picked up on.
He not only mimics the notes perfectly, but he mimics the sounds, and that's something that Michael and I talk about all the time. It's like he doesn't just play the song; he plays it so it sounds exactly like I'm used to hearing it.
Well, yeah, I can read tablature and I can play the notes of a song on my guitar.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily sound or come across with the feel or the message that was behind that piece of music.
Right. Yeah. Purple Rain the other day, you did that to me. I almost had to stop for like 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm just going to have to wait a minute. He made that guitar do something that I didn't even know guitars could do. So
That's part of my background to playing. When I hear a song, I'm in the song. And I hear, and when I used to listen to a lot of Pink Floyd back then when I was a kid, The Wall and stuff like that, Dark Side of the Moon, and I'd get lost in the whole atmosphere of the song, and that's where I wanted to always be when I was playing.
Well, I think that immersion is how you learn to reproject that back out.
Right.
Yeah. So
right.
That's cool. And Mike, the drummer, the husband, the singer. Talk about where did music come into your life at, and how did you get to where you are
Same
musically?
way, probably with Tony, growing up, Bay Area. A lot of Santana, a lot of rock and roll. Yeah, Ruth knows. She was
there. Yeah.
And just that whole Bay Area scene. I wasn't quite old enough. The San Francisco scene was going on in the late '60s, so I really got into that. But I was too young to really get involved in that. But I loved the music, and it just evolved from there. Playing drums. Then I got into the keyboards later on. And
yeah, you had 2 weeks to learn up down stuff.
Yeah. So I kind of learned how to play the keyboard, but I didn't really start playing drums until I got into this band.
Okay.
I never played drums in a band.
We played rototoms in Ozone.
But it wasn't drums, it was just so yeah, just growing up in the Bay Area, just listening to stuff and digging it.
Yeah.
Well,
that only makes sense. That's
Yeah.
where it starts. I mean, I think anybody who wants to play music is because somewhere along the line they were affected by music.
Exactly.
And you get that feeling, you understand it, you want to do that. You want to be a part of that. And it is a draw.
And my family, we're all of them pretty much sang. Ruthie sang in the band before, and just got into it at an early age,
Yeah.
And it just from about 17 on, that's all I've played music for that long.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Heidi, tell me a little bit about, so you have an album, you're about to go in and start another one. Mm-hmm. How would you describe your music to someone who's, I'm going to have to check out Hill Street? What are they about?
I have to just be straight up and say that it is, for me, it's like what I fell in love with in the 80s. I mean, we're not new, we're not pop, we just are the old school screaming guitar, not rock, but I would say, probably just like, I don't know. I can't compare us to any other band without being wrong.
Well, I think you guys are a solid rock band, but you're rock without being metal.
Right.
Right. A lot of people mix all these things together so much and whatever, and you can call this that, and we can get hung up and all that kind of stuff. But I think a rock band
I had
fits.
somebody in the crowd one time say, "You're kind of like a hardcore REO Speedwagon." I was like, okay, well,
That
kind of fits us, yeah. Like, like REO on steroids.
Yeah. REO with a little bit more edge.
A little bit more edge.
Well, you guys have, and the covers you play and how well you do them. I mean, I asked you your question really thinking about your original music, but I think when we think about you guys playing live around in the area, and often that just by the nature of what you do, there's a lot of cover songs, and you have to have that connection with people, and they get that through songs they recognize and know.
Right.
But yeah, there's it's kind of like you can hear and I think some of it does come through in your originals, but there's the funkiness of Prince, the blues and grit of Bonnie Raitt. There's the, you just
we're super confused about what we want to be, and we just kind of pick a little bit from everything.
You bump ZZ Top over on this side, and then you come back this way, and and it can be.
Before we did our original album, I used to describe our band as we took all of our albums and threw them on the floor, picked out 40 of them and went with it.
Yeah.
Because we weren't really looking for a certain genre. We all like all different genres. I really, when you mentioned Bonnie Raitt and those kinds of singers, those growly singers, I love those songs. Tedeschi Trucks, where we have Tony, but we have to be kind. There's 85 guitar players in that band. So,
Yeah.
And they're pretty good.
And they're pretty good, yeah. So, we pick what we love and hope that the people that come and hear us love it as well.
Right.
So that's pretty much it.
Well, I feel like they must. I like I said, I think you guys are one of the premier local bands around here to go see.
Thank
for
you.
sure. Let's talk a little bit. Let's go back around the room and come back to T-Rod, whose microphone has been swung over out of place because I had to remove a cat from the studio.
I can still hear.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
T-Rod could hear without his microphone, so we're good.
He can hear without his
I sure
microphone?
can.
That's great. If you still have time or spend time listening to music currently, who are you playing nowadays when you just listen to music for your own enjoyment?
I listen to a lot of R&B. I've played mostly in the bands that I've played with were soul bands, pretty much, through my days. So I like R&B, contemporary funk. I like rock because I'm playing rock with you guys, and I'm also doing. I like jazz. I'm not a jazz player per se. I like the sound, but R&B pretty much has been my niche throughout my career, but I love what we're playing because it's a variety of, like you were saying, of different stuff. You got the rock, you got the Commodores in there. There's a little bit of funk right there. So I like that transition. And with Tony, which even makes it better, because if you're playing a song that has that R&B rhythm to it, and he comes in and he shreds it, it just takes it, and I get chills.
Yeah.
I'm playing and I'm listening to him, and that's why I get upset when I can't hear him. I'll look at these guys and I'll go,
turn him up.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
And so what he does is he takes the music and the licks that comes out of his head. Now this is coming out of his head. It's not coming out of anywhere else. It comes to his fingers and he plays these gorgeous notes, and they all mesh into the band. And with what Michael's playing, Michael's drumming, he's a solid drummer. I've played with some great drummers. Michael's one of the top guys that I've played with. Besides him being a great drummer, he's an awesome singer. He can sing. He's got the voice. And both of them together, their harmonies, I love the fact that I could come in and sit with them and do my harmony on top of theirs. It's a pleasure for me to be able to do it. When I don't, I feel like I'm letting them down. But all that comes in time. You just got to keep going at it. Keep pushing forward. But again, playing with these three was actually something I was looking for a long time. I've played with some great people, but not people that you go to rehearsal. Basically, the rehearsal's over. Okay, see you later. You're gone.
Yeah.
We go to rehearsal and we have
what do we
dinner.
do after? Yeah.
We have dinner. We have she's the chef. She's the
I
the
cook
baker.
like I'm French.
It's like so. It's like we don't just play.
Yeah.
We create first of all, and then when we're done creating, we sit as friends and we sit around the table and.
Well, this comes right back to where we started with this being a family. Because, the podcast, the idea around the podcast is we'll order pizza, we'll have soda or beer, we'll sit around and we'll be a group of friends over a meal talking about music. Yeah. And when you guys got here, we got our pizza, we got our sodas, we sat around the kitchen table. I almost told
you you're going to need 2 days.
Yeah, and we spent a half hour there before we even came in here to record, just talking about, everything from kitchen tables to tractors. Right?
That's how you sum up Hill Street. Yeah. Everything from the kitchen table to the tractor.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
This is how conversations around a dinner table go. Yeah.
It's true.
That's
our lives. That's what we do.
During those breakfasts.
Oh, that's right.
The following night, the following day, or the
we
morning,
watch it every night.
We all go to breakfast right before we're going to leave.
Right.
And I just pull out the camera and just start.
And I probably shouldn't say this because they're going to get us out to where we can't do it, but we also eat in the hotel rooms. We have dinner in the hotel rooms. We cook and we take care of each other in the hotel rooms. We're really good at it, and we don't cause any issues.
Yeah, we haven't set any sprinklers off.
Not yet.
Very good.
Thank
Very
God
good.
for hair dryers.
Well, the good news is when you stay in a hotel, it's usually not right here. So that's probably outside.
Right.
Yeah, so
That is true.
they're never going to hear this.
We're coming up with a cookbook, but not until we
You can dish
retire.
all of that out, and no one will ever be affected by it. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go to the studio, record another album. What's the band picture or goal, say 5 years from now? Are we just doing what you're doing right now? You're making albums, you enjoy it. Do you want to grow your territory of where you play to?
Yes.
What's the goal?
Definitely.
We do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We want to play bigger. We'd like to play some bigger venues.
We'd love to get an original show.
And that's what I was just going to mention. With the uphill both ways and these three that we got T-Rod with and on these, we're going to try to build that up to maybe 6 to 8 more songs, and then have a full 2-hour original show. And that's what our goal is for bigger audiences, or just to go down that path and say that we did it.
Right.
Yeah.
And still be humble
To
and
succeed.
stay and play locally and not try to.
It's not about climbing, it's about bucket list. Because I, for one, feel like I waited way too long to get back into music. So when I was 10, 11, 12, I was writing music. When I was 13, I did my first album. That's how I met, well, not album, 2 songs, how I met Joe Vanderpool. And that's how I ended up getting the call to get into Uptown for a brief time. And that's how I met Michael.
This is where some of the crossover
yeah,
people
so
was
if I had
coming in.
not-
I thought there was stuff
if
like
I had
this.
not done that,
Joe
but
plays with Lance.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
From the time I was 12 years old, I want to play, I want to do music, I want to play. And I had written 2 songs and started that way. Well, then all that went away because I found the love of my life. And I shut my brain off. I waited in the wings too long. Instead of going after what I wanted, I kept waiting and waiting, and it didn't happen. So it finally dawned on me that I could wait till I'm dead, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I need to start my own thing.
And because this is audio and not video, she was talking about Mike.
Yeah, I was, yeah. Yeah, I do love the rest, though, obviously. So this album was more my, like, we got to do it. It's on my bucket list, and we got to do it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have something so we could open. We had the club gig, but I wanted to be able to say, hey, and by the way, we can be an opening act. And you can't do that with covers. You have to have your own originals.
Sure, for any national thing that comes through.
So Uphill Both Ways was a bucket list thing. It was a strategic move to be able to become an opening act. And it was also written specifically to blend with our cover songs that we play in the clubs so that we can go over.
You
Because
can go back and forth.
I mean, I
between
can't
them
go in there
smoothly.
and do the soulful, melody stuff and play that in the clubs. It had to be club lyrics. It had to be club music.
Yeah.
So this time we're going back in with a little bit more of an open mind, and we're going to write a little bit more fluidly, a little bit more. I don't want to say not from the heart because the other album was totally from the heart. But this one, we're going to give it a little bit more freedom. It's not going to be like, it's not going to be like this has to fit in the club.
Right.
It's not going to be like this has to fit this genre.
I have to write lyrics for a title track.
Right.
And also, plus, there's 12 songs on Uphill Both Ways, and that was a lot of time in the studio. And then
That's a good amount of songs for any
it
album.
really
Right.
is.
Right.
So we're gonna start off slower this time and really get into the.
Yeah.
It was about 5 or 6 of those we never even heard until we came to the studio, and we actually laid the tracks down to them right there at the studio.
Right.
Wow.
They played them first
Okay.
for
And then
about
you
a
guys
week,
learned them
Right.
and kicked
And then
in.
Tony
And
just
then
did it
I came
freelance.
and just did what I did
Did-
to him, and
yeah.
then Jerry did the same thing.
Did we
He
felt?
at
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah. Did what we felt. Because, see, in my
and now
brain,
Tony's put.
you go
his
into the studio, you bring your
little
sleeping
mix
bag
on
and
it,
your
and it's
pillow,
great.
and you write the songs in the studio. In my brain, that's how it's done.
Right.
So a lot of it did get written in the studio because that's where it comes together, That's where, and man, when Bruce threw in his experience and his knowledge and his production.
He's come up so many times in the podcast.
Oh, my
with
living
people
Lord, we
I've
are so
talked with.
lucky to have somebody that not only knows top to bottom everything there is to know in that genre, in that field, not genre, that field of production, but is so willing to share and help you bring your stuff to that level.
Bring his experience.
Bring his
to
experience
draw
to
upon.
lift you up, rather than watch you struggle and laugh,
Yeah.
which I'm sure there are quite a few people out there that do.
Yeah.
Bruce is just like, here, let me show you this, let me teach you this, and it's
And
just
he makes you play it.
yeah,
He doesn't all do it. He
Yeah.
goes, no, you do
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay.
This is your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to be encouraging.
Yeah, and he sits back, he waits. But when we went in there, I was like, look, I'm no fool. if you hear something we should do, please, dear God, tell us.
Yeah.
And he started off slow with that because he didn't want to interfere. But as we got close to the end, he started throwing in just a little this, a little that.
Well, it builds a great relationship for you guys to work with
Oh.
him when you guys come in with that
Yeah.
attitude, and he has an attitude of wanting to help. And,
Yeah. I honestly think if you go to Bruce and you don't let him help you, you're really missing out. You're really losing a very valuable experience.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, he's also, after we did the album, he said Tony go in there and do some work on some other projects, and Heidi too.
And this is another reason why we're going back in for the second album, because
Right.
he brought me in to do some doo-wop background vocal stuff, which, by the way, I would not have been able to do without his coaching. My God, it's not easy to go ooh in the right location. Not when I don't have Michael with the drumstick hitting me in the head, like right there. So yeah, no, but I got to hear what other people were writing and how they were doing it, and hear the stories behind what they were doing and what they were putting into it, and I thought, you know, I shortchanged us with that album by not letting it be more free, by making it such a rigid. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. It's got to be club.
Well,
It's got
you
to
do
be
what
commercial.
you know at the time,
Yeah.
what you know to do. And
Yeah.
now you're having creative juices
Oh, now I'm like,
stirred.
baby, you bring it. Whatever
Yeah.
the hell you got in your head, you bring that stuff, and nobody's going to say no to anything, and we're going to just play and see what we can come up with.
Well, that sounds really interesting, and based on what I've heard on this one, I would be excited to hear how that album's going to turn out.
I'm looking forward to it. And
We're
we'll probably release
excited.
it a few at a time. We're not
Oh,
going to
yeah,
wait until
just
we have a
big time.
12-song album.
But we've
Yeah,
So
got-
we'll release
I
these
come
3
all
as
the way
soon as
from
they're
a cloud,
done.
bud.
Yeah, and we'll
I'm
probably
really
start playing them in the
excited.
club right away, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about your busy calendar. And I think it would be unwise to run through everything that's on your calendar because people want to get to the end of the podcast.
Right.
So really what they should do is go to your website, which is
Hillstreetband.com.
Oh, I should've jumped in there.
hillstreetband.com. And they're
You got to get
super
your
easy
harmony
to-
down, T-Rod.
They're super easy to find on Facebook, although I laugh because, and Heidi, I think I told you this last year, but I don't know if you remember it. I was first getting into exploring local music, and I knew of you guys, went to Facebook, followed Hill Street Band, and sent some kind of message, wanted to, see you guys or anyway, whatever. I get back stuff from a band in, oh gosh. are
Was
they
it Germany or Stockholm?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
And they are Hill Street Band
Yeah.
in Europe.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the comments
do
from
that.
one of the guys in that band is, do they have taxi fare back after the gig?
That's great.
I'm like, what?
That's great.
So they're my adopted band in Europe right now, and I just sent them a message the other day because they were doing something. I said, well, we still love you in California, so you guys are awesome.
I've seen
Anyway,
that
if you
on
want to do some YouTubing around and
seen 'em.
find your way to get there,
there. Yeah.
what a fun thing they are to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, but so what I was trying to say is Hill Street is relatively easy to find on Facebook as well. Just make sure it's Hill Street Band Reading. Just look for Reading,
Right, yeah.
and then you'll have the right group.
Stockholm.
And if you want to know what we're doing, we have put a lot of work into hillstreetband.com.
Yeah, your guys' website looks great.
Yeah, and I put everything on there. I will be there at 2 o'clock in the morning posting and changing things for the next venue so that it stays current.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get a date, I try to put it on there. All of our dates are on there that I can keep up with and get them
Well,
on.
let's just run through June at least.
Okay.
So you're at the Red Lion, Three Shastas Bar and Grill, June 3rd and 4th.
Yeah,
And that's
this-
like Friday and
Friday
Saturday.
and Saturday, yeah.
Elks, but that's probably you have to be a member or
Yeah, that's a
invited
private
event.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then Robinson Rancheria Resort and Casino,
Clear Lake.
Clear Lake. Okay.
Yeah, Nice.
Rock and Brews. Yeah, that's at.
Sacramento.
Yeah, that's
Rolling
going to be
Hills.
fun. That's the Cheap Trick concert is
Yeah.
going on.
Yes.
And,
so you guys are going to be the band in the bar at Rolling Hills
Right.
after the Cheap Trick
Right.
concert.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's
That
Cool.
hopefully will be fun. I'm
That
hoping
should be
Cheap Trick
fun.
comes in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Of course.
I am hoping
Yes,
they do.
of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd
Yeah.
be awesome.
They don't want to see me though, because the last time I saw them was at the college, And that was that was when the height of everybody was doing drugs and alcohol. And they were obliterated.
Oh.
They were so drunk. So I'm looking forward to talking to them sober. I hope they come in.
Yeah.
I know they're sober now. There's no way they could continue playing the way they were.
No.
Then you've gotten a private event, which we can go past, and Shasta District Fair, June 25th. That's a big opportunity to have a lot of people be
It's
around.
a lot of fun. It's usually, we get in, we have a good time. People go there it's the beer garden there.
Yeah.
So, it's fun. We do it pretty much every year, and it's something that the Anderson
Kind of the
Chamber is
hometown
involved
thing.
with. A
Yeah.
hometown thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then you're going to go off to Yuba Sutter Fair.
Yep.
So we're going to run into July then, and you'll be at Friday in the Park in Shasta Lake City.
Right.
Which is a cool
Yes.
thing they have started there.
Super fun.
Yeah,
And one of our favorites, in fact, that was the first time T-Rod ever got to come see us, so it's almost a 1 year anniversary
That
now.
was the first time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Plus,
The
it's
first
only,
time.
plus it's only 5 minutes away from our house.
Yeah, it's really nice.
handy.
Yeah,
It's not
it
a
is.
4-hour
It's right up the
drive.
street.
Yeah.
It's right up
No
the street.
hotel rooms
Put all the gear in the
involved.
wagon and pull it down the
Oh,
street.
boom! There we are.
Yeah.
Easy.
It's gonna
That's
be
great, you guys. So what else am I missing? What else do you want people to know about Hill Street here at the end of the podcast?
Just we're looking to grow the family. I mean, we really want everybody to feel comfortable when they come to see us, and that's been our goal, and I hope that we can continue to keep that our goal. We want everybody to feel like kick your shoes off,
And
put
they,
your jammies on and come here Hill Street.
and they do.
Yeah,
You have a lot of followers.
I want them to do that. I just want everybody to feel like
Have a good time.
kick off. I mean, if we could bring lawn chairs into the Red Lion, I'd be all over that.
She would. She ain't kidding.
Well, excellent, you guys. This was a lot of fun, and I'm so glad we finally got to do
Appreciate
this.
it. Appreciate it a
It's an
lot.
idea that's been brewing for about a year to finally get together with you guys. So
Hey, anytime you want to hang out and have pizza, we practice about once a month.
thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Stephen. Thank you for having us.
You
This
bet.
is great.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
You too.
Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the podcast. I always appreciate my listeners who stay all the way to the end. And in what's become a tradition, I'll share some music from my current guest. So this is Hill Street with the song One More Day off of their album, Uphill Both Ways. Enjoy.
One more day and one more night, one more chance to make it right. that I could take them back. And time again, I play it in my mind.